All right. Well, welcome back to Roofer to Roofer. It looks like Jonah's here.
You recording?
I am recording. Yes.
Cool.
Yeah. So we're gonna jump into some questions. And so if anyone has questions, please do put those in the Q&A. If not, we're just gonna go through our questions that we already have. But yeah, feel free to jump in at any point with questions. So let me pull up. I accidentally closed down my list of questions.
I'm going to have a question if we get an audience. I've got something that's been brewing heavy on my mind that I kind of would like to ask if we get some people that'd like to answer at some point later. Um, that I've been thinking about quite a bit that maybe somebody has some take on.
All right, sounds good. We'll do that. I'm just gonna check my email too and just make sure we're not having the same problem from the other week and make sure that the link is good. See if anybody has responded. Okay. Press. I think it's good. I think it's good. So, all right. Well, let me pull up the questions. This is a question for Scott. How do you estimate job costs accurately in order to avoid budget overruns?
Use ProLine. Use the budgets in ProLine. Honestly, we job cost before we ever, before we ever even send a crew out, before we even give the customer a quote. We know what that job should profit. And we're very good with the contingencies in our quote. Not that we're like sticklers with a contract, like here's the contract, that's the way it is. We just have some very, very simple contingencies that are your 99% of the time contingencies. And the quote. That's what you're going to pay. The contingencies show if there's an anomaly, plywood, rafters, whatever. We know what we're going to make on that job before we ever step foot on it because of how honestly the budget in ProLine, and it builds it right in. My guys don't even have to do anything. Like I can just, it's not an additional step. It's just now part of our sales process. But yeah, I mean, you get into, I think, and AJ, I was talking to James about this. You get into other trades, it's not as simple, right? Like it gets a little bit more complex. If you're doing siding or maybe solar or something like that, it does add a little bit more complexity to where there's some other um, maybe anomalies that kind of change that super bottom line price list. But I think you can still get it to where it's within a couple percent plus or minus. And in my opinion, if you can't buff in a percent or two and you win some, you lose some on that, you're probably just, if you're losing all the time, then you need to make a change. But if you're winning some and losing some, then you need to just stick right there, play the game. It'll all work out at the end of the year.
That makes sense. Yeah. The I like how obviously ProLine has some very, very powerful budgeting and the line, like the costs tracking. But I do like how you take that a step further and have those items in your terms and conditions for those contingencies, where you're not, where you are accounting for those scenarios like extra OSP board and stuff, and that's just in your contract right out of the gate.
And it's almost an additional contract, right? Like we've got like a one pager that's like what to expect from us, length of time, the generic contract. But that's almost even like another step that we take that's, not even maybe a quarter page, but they have to initial it. And that's the best part in that. And what ProLine does for you, you have to initial it. So they read that if there's a second layer of shingles, it's going to cost X per square. So you had to read it because you literally initialed right next to it. So if you were foolish enough to initial that and not take the 2 seconds to read it, that's kind of on you at that point.
Yep. All right. For anyone just joining us, you can please put your questions down in the Q&A at the bottom of Zoom. We're just going through our questions that we have on a list. But if you have any questions for us, please do put that down in the Q&A and we'll address those. And then Scott, when do you want to ask your question? You want to ask it now? You want to ask it later?
Let's see if we get a handful more in here. Get 3,
Okay.
4, 5 other heads. It's simple. It's not a big one. It's
Okay. We'll do another one.
Yeah,
Question
let's do another
then.
one.
All right. All right. What are the most cost-effective advertising methods for small roofing businesses?
I don't know. I think something we just did today is pretty damn cost effective. We could talk about that for a second because I really think it's going to be something that we'll see it'll pay dividends to us in the future. We're putting money into organic social media, if that makes sense. So what we did today, and Jonah, I don't know if is it live yet?
No, not yet.
It'll be live probably tomorrow.
Yeah.
I created a video, and I know it's against Facebook's terms and conditions, but we created a giveaway video for $1,000 cash. And all you gotta do is follow us on Facebook, and subscribe to YouTube. Our goal is that if we already have a really significant following on our Facebook for a little small roofing business where we're at. I got 2,500 followers or something. If we can get YouTube close to that, if we could get Facebook to, double that, say 5,000 in these new markets that we're in, I think that's very, very feasible. We got 5,000 people that every time we post, they should be seeing, some of that content that we're putting out to where, and we don't pay nothing for it. It's just an organic free Facebook post or an organic free YouTube video. So our goal is to try to build that organic audience to a really significant level, because what we look at as Facebook ads for $1,000. I mean, you don't get in front of that many people for $1,000. Not today. If we can spend that $1,000 and build an even stronger organic following, and maybe say we get 3 to 5 of these people each day sharing our organic posts, well, they're sharing it with strangers that maybe don't follow us. Now we build that even more and get in front of, a bigger reach at zero cost. So I think that's a super efficient way to spend some advertising dollars getting started. That's how I got 2,500 followers. I literally did it through some giveaway stuff. And my God, for a long time, we didn't advertise other than social media, and it was all free social media. So I think it's definitely a way to spend a low entry budget to really get some good advertising.
Is it not a risk with it being against terms of service?
I'm willing to take it.
We're taking the risk.
Well, here's the way I look at it. The way we did it too, we're not going to have it all spelled out. So we did it as a video. So Facebook will have to catch it in the video, which I think makes it a little bit harder to catch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we kind of broke it up. So there'll be a little bit of the giveaway information in the text, the main in the video, and then the YouTube link will actually be in the comments. So we separated that, knowing Facebook very well may ban us for doing this. we did everything we could to take the precautions to try to avoid that. They'll put us in jail for a couple weeks. I mean, I can't imagine they're going to suspend our account indefinitely. You know what I mean? Especially with the amount of money and over history we've spent on their platform. I would think that they'll give us a little slap on the wrist, and hopefully by that time we've already been up for 2 weeks and we've achieved the goal that we're set out to achieve anyway. So we'll take the chance.
That's interesting. That's an interesting strategy. So for small businesses on a small budget, sometimes you got to take some risks.
I think so.
Take away.
The other thing too is the with Facebook, another alternative with a real inexpensive way to market is boosting posts. It really is. You know, you can, if you're small, like really small, you're just getting started, you're in 6 months in, you're trying to get in front of customers that are in your local neighborhood, boost your post each day with $5. You know, every day you do a job, boost that post with $5, $10, $15 and do a 5-mile radius, you know, so you know that's in your little hometown where you're trying to sell roofs. That's a really inexpensive way to get in front of, you know, the neighborhood.
Yep. No, it makes sense. Yeah, so boosted posts. Take some risks on the, you know, if you want to do a giveaway, it's risky, or it's not an official recommendation from Roofer2Roofer, but do at your own risk. But boosted posts, is there any others, you know, small, very small, tight budget, low hanging fruit?
I mean, you can't ever, Jen, I don't mean to interrupt you, but you can't ever ignore the yard signs and door hangers, right?
I mean, that's what I was going to say. Your marketing materials, that should be your number one focus before you mess around with Facebook at all. I mean, look at our trucks. They're about as flashy as they can get. It's hard to miss it.
Yeah. But you could buy one box of yard signs and 1,000 door hangers for $500, or, you know, like it pretty inexpensive. You do one job and you could have enough marketing, you know, print material for months.
Yeah, that's pretty low cost. That makes sense. Makes sense.
I'll ask my question just real quick, and anybody can throw something in the comments or whatever. It's just a quick question. Something we've been looking at, or I've been looking at for a long time. I've never pulled the trigger on, that I've always considered. We have a repair tech in-house full time, and I love the repair business. I've wanted to build a true repair division, like completely, you know, build trucks out, put repair techs in them, and put them on like a round robin calling system. As calls come in, they do repairs, right? Like I've got this vision of it. I know what it could be. The problem is it's a little bit difficult to get that kind of work at the dollar amount we need to get it at. So I've had this thought recently because we've had a couple of calls about it. And I've thought about it for a long time, but I've just never moved on it. But including in our service and maintenance, like say that if you call in, you got a leak, part of what we potentially could offer you is a roof wash with your service. So if you got a bunch of black streaking, you got algae on the roof, whatever, you know, yes, we'll come fix that one shingle or 5 shingles. We'll recaulk and seal all your flashings and boots. Oh yeah, by the way, in this maintenance agreement, we're going to do a wash on the entire roof system. So your roof will not perform new, but it will also look new. So my question with that is anybody doing that? You know, I know there's some guys I know one guy that's doing it up in like Washington, but they've got moss that grows on moss. Like they have to do it. But in the rest of the country, is there anyone doing roof washing that's not a pressure washing company? Because I feel like as roofers, we should be able to sell roof washing superior to any pressure washing company because we have the experience of how to handle the roof, you know, not damage it. Oh yeah, by the way, we can seal it and do any maintenance that needs done while we're up there. We know how to do that because we're roofers. We're obviously comfortable being up on, taller structures, or standing on pitch, whatever. I just feel like it's something that in our industry I don't see in our side. It's the pressure wash, the house washers, right? The pressure washing guys. But none of the roofers take this on. I know it's a lower ticket item, but man, I look around the neighborhoods and I could pump out 5 of them a day, so I think there's some real opportunity. I just don't know if the customer base is there. I don't know if anybody's doing it and having success. That's my question.
Yeah. Good question. So yeah, if one of you wants to jump in and in the audience, just raise your hand. There's a little hand raise button and we'll tag you in and turn your camera on so you can share. So yeah, for everyone in the audience, just hit the hand raise button if you want to jump in and answer that question. We're waiting see if someone wants to raise their hand. I think it's a really interesting idea. And I also know we might be talking about the same person in Washington, the same company in Washington that does the roof washing, and they've been doing it a long time. But everyone wants to add solar or add siding, a roof wash, but I guess it's because it's larger ticket. It's I guess that's probably the reason why most people don't touch it, is because it is so small ticket. But I guess one of my oh, go ahead. What were you going to say?
No, go ahead.
I was going to ask, you're talking about bundling it in with repairs. Would you kind of force it on people where they're calling for a repair and they're like, all I need is a repair. And you're like, no, you have to do the wash.
No. What my vision on that is, we sell a wash. Forced with the wash is a maintenance. While we're there, we're going to clean your gutters. We're going to seal all the boots and flashings. That's going to happen. That's what's going to separate us from the pressure washing guys, right? We can actually maintenance the roof. And in a shingle roof maintenance, there's not much to it, right? You're recaulking stuff, you're cleaning gutters, what have you. Not a real difficult thing. So that would be forced with the wash. We do that with our repairs. So if we do a shingle repair, we repair 5 shingles in the field of a roof, we still do that. We do that no matter what. If we go on a roof for repair or anything, we're doing that because we want to. That's part of the value. And it only takes 10 minutes. It doesn't take long with a caulking gun to go, clean up and dress everything up one time. Yeah. Same with when you're washing, before you start hosing things down or whatever, go seal up the chimney flashing and, caulk around the tops of the boots and caulk and nail heads and, whatever. That piece is what's forced in. You can buy a wash or you can buy a repair or you can buy both. But no matter what, we're going to do our routine maintenance while we're there.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I don't know. Most people aren't worried about the maintenance side as much as they are, I feel like, the aesthetic side. So I feel like there's 2 reasons people call. They've either got rain dripping on their head or their house is ugly as shit. Well, if I can make the ugly go away for $700, because I see it all the time. Jonah and I were driving around today. Looking at roofs that are 10 years old and they're covered in black streaks, look like shit. $700, I can make that look good for 5 years, with a wash. Yeah. It doesn't need replaced. I don't want to sell them a roof replacement, but it'd be nice if their house looked nice. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I think it's an option. I think the problem with roofers are we're all so greedy. We think that, I got to have that $15,000 ticket. The problem with freaking all of us, you need that $15,000 ticket, but you might only make $300 on it because you don't know your numbers. Well, I can sell a $700 wash and make $600 on it. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's not a fair way to build your business just off the ticket price. I know plumbers that charge $200 a service call, and I know some of them that do 10 a day. No material cost. You know what I mean? So it's like, you think they're not making pretty good profit on that? So
yeah, that's really interesting. And it seems like that's one of the biggest things with it's the feast and famine with just relying on roof replacements. There's a feast and famine. Yes. And if you can smooth some of that out with lower ticket services, repairs, but it's not, it's almost like, this is the argument for doing the repair service is that you have this, you stay in the hearts and minds of your market doing the low ticket services, and you pad your revenue. But if you just had something else, just like, it just allows you to have one more thing that's like that at that level. So you're just doubling down on that smaller ticket.
Yeah.
But it's not a small ticket. Like, you would charge, so like for an average roof, it'd be like $700 or something for a roof.
I literally have never done it one time in my life, so I have no idea. But it is something that you could bid by the square foot. That's kind of what's appealing to me. Where repair work you can't. So with washing, I could bid that by the square foot. If you got 30 square house, I could do it real quick. I could do the math real quick through Google Earth or what have you, a measurement tool. Okay, well, you got 30 square. I'm going to charge, $10 a square. Okay, well, it's $300. I could bid that over the phone. I think that's one of the keys to these smaller ticket items. You can't be sending sales reps to go bid them.
Yeah. Yeah, you'd have to. So would you even send a quote for that, or would you just straight send an invoice and just when they pay?
So I would do it just like my repair pipeline is set up, my repair quotes. It's a single line item quote. And it basically it's just something for them to sign or initial, and that puts it on the schedule, right? Like that's all it is. It's just a very generic quote that the receptionist sends. Like, not an inside salesperson. You can call her inside salesperson. It's not. It's a receptionist job, and she's going to just push notification a very generic quote to you for you to sign to give us the green light to get started. Yeah. That's my thoughts. This is not in action. So don't mistake. I am not doing this. I would love to think that it's possible. There's just some for some reason there's something in my head not computing 100% where I'm missing a link somewhere, and I haven't figured it out yet to get myself to, I guess, pull that trigger.
Yeah. I mean, it seems really interesting to me. Could you not just, make some posts on Facebook and say that you're offering it and see if anyone bites?
I mean, that's a fair idea. Yeah, wouldn't be that hard to figure out.
Yeah. You do have a lot of followers, Facebook followers.
Yeah.
Maybe after the giveaway.
Maybe after the giveaway.
Tests.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it's great summer work too. Because if it's hotter than shit, who cares to go out there and wash roofs, right? Like who cares? It's hard to do repairs when it's 95 degrees outside. It's like almost impossible to do repairs when it's 95 degrees outside. It's so hot. You're tearing shit up. You're damaging shingles more than you're fixing. It's just almost impossible. Plus we're not getting those spring storms that cause the repair work. Now we're just maintenance.
Yeah.
So
yeah. That makes
anyway,
sense. Yeah,
we can get off that. I was hoping to get some. I've been trying to get feedback from like 20 people, and nobody's really doing it. There's a lot of people thinking about doing it. There's a lot of people that's kicked it around. There's just not really anybody doing it other than our probably one mutual friend in Seattle. That's all they do. They do it every day.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, there's still time. Audience, raise your hand if you wanna input on this. Have any thoughts? But you have thoughts on roof washes as another channel. So we can move on to other questions, but maybe we'll circle back later, give everyone another shot at it.
Yeah.
All right. This is another marketing question. How can I collaborate with other contractors in my area to cross promote each other?
You'll probably have more on that than me, Scott, because I've never really done a whole lot of that. I know we've talked about it a bit, but I think that's more efficient in a small town, closer knit community than it is in a major city. I mean, maybe if you're working with a realtor, which I know how we all feel about them, a realtor, yeah, realtor, or maybe somebody who's doing flips and renovations, that might be a good opportunity to kind of push people through. But I don't really have a take on it because I've never really experienced much of that.
So I was very fortunate coming from the home building background that I worked with tons of other contractors, plumbers, electricians, heating, cooling guys, all the drywallers. So I had quite a community network of friends that were in the business, all in the trade, and they knew everybody. We knew everybody. If it wasn't for those guys, we'd really struggle. I unfortunately, and I kind of kicked myself in the ass because I actually met with one of my old heating and cooling guys the other day, looking at doing some work on my church. I got put in charge of managing this project for the church, and so I went out and met with this fellow that I've known for a long time, done a ton of work together, and we haven't spoke. I feel like maybe 3 years, and I know he still recommends me. You know what I mean? And I still recommend him. You got to keep them guys close. You know what I mean? Those relationships will dissolve. And it felt like as soon as we got back together, we hit it right off. We're picked up where we left off. We're bullshit and having a good time. And I bet I come top of mind. Anybody's talking roofing again for the next little while. But I might have fizzled out. You know what I mean? Me being top of mind. There's probably someone else that kind of stepped in my spotlight with him. We were friends. You know, I mean, we were friends, this group of contractors, and you have to be, because people don't want to go out of their way for you to go get you a recommendation. But if you're friends, you bullshit, you text, you hang out from time to time, you go to lunch together on the job site, whatever. Those guys, they want to recommend you because they want to work around you. They want you doing the work on their friends' houses or their family's houses, because they know you, they trust you. We've tried building referral partners with bigger companies locally. Like there's one big heating and cooling company locally they're a monster. I have tried and tried and tried to build a referral program with them so that I would send them some work. In return, they would send me work. And we've never got anywhere with it. But I've never made that friendship type relationship with the owner. I never will. He doesn't even live around here. So I guess my advice would be find other companies close to your size, similar interests, maybe people you kind of know already that you could refer some work to, or you need your furnace worked on. Call that guy that might be able to make a friendship with of some kind. Don't just go with the low bid, because maybe that's the guy, but I'm just saying, pick the guy that man, I could get along with this guy. We could go grab lunch. I could shoot him a few more heating and cooling jobs. He could probably shoot me some roofs. That's how I would go about it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Just building those relationships. Yeah, I think some people would say, "Oh, well, I'm not good at networking. I'm not good at those relationships." But it seems like that's critical. That's kind of critical.
Gotta be. You ain't got a choice. If you want to make it, you gotta come out of your shell. I mean, AJ, I think you and I have talked about this, but I was scared to death to be in front of a camera at one time. And I mean, like, terrified. I went to do a TV commercial a few years ago or something. I am like social with my friends, and the guys shooting this video are friends. Like I know them. They turned that freaking camera on. I froze, completely froze. And I know people do that in front of strangers when, just walking into a crowd, they kind of freeze. You just got to work at it. This is not like it comes natural to nothing, not that stuff just doesn't come natural to everybody. You know what I mean? You got to try. What I do, I kept recording myself on video, getting video, and I mean, they look so stupid. And I felt like such an idiot for so long. But now, it's starting to slowly but surely, become a little more natural and a little more natural.
Yeah. So you got to work at it. Just got to stick with it. All right. I have another question here. And for those just joining us, please do drop your questions down into the Q&A and we'll address those. Otherwise, we're just going to keep going through our questions. Also, if anybody has any new thoughts on roof washing, adding roof washing as a service, please do raise your hand, click on the hand raise button, and we can jump back to that. All right, the next question I have here is how to handle a prospect. How do I handle a prospect who wants to negotiate the price on the roof?
We negotiate. Like everybody wants to say, stick to your gun. No, we do stick to our guns for the most part, but we'll negotiate the system. So, okay, like for instance, we had there was some shingles that ABC was selling locally that they were no longer going to carry that product. It's a good shingle. There's nothing wrong with it. I've used it plenty of times. So they offered a big discount to us primarily. So we started, when we kind of kept that in our back pocket as a little weapon. When somebody was saying, hey, this was a rental, I just need to get shingles put on this thing. I just need to get a roof put on it as cheap as possible. We have this other option. No, we're not going to take less money for the roof that we were wanting to do. We do have another option that it's a good option. It's a fair option. It doesn't come with any, of these additional warranties or anything like that, but we can offer you this. So we just kind of have a backup. I don't know that that's negotiating. We just kind of have a backup plan for that person that's looking for just straight price, that just needs cheap. And then they'll look at it and they'll be like, man, that only comes with a 1-year turnkey warranty. And it doesn't come with this, this, and this. And they only got 3 colors to choose from. Shit, I will pay the extra $700 and get the entry level rain stoppers roof package, and that's usually what happens. I mean, that's honestly what happens most of the time we offer that.
Yeah. So what if someone's just like, they're already at the bottom. You've already given them the worst roof, or say you offer them that roof system and they're like, can you do the next one up for 300? Like if it's 700 more, but you're like, I'll pay you 300 more. Can you just bump it up to that one? Like, what do you say in that scenario? I'll do the roof. I promise I'll do the roof with you. I just do it for 300 more.
Yeah, no. So,
so just no.
It's situational. I was trying to think of how to say it. It's situational. So this is a rough time of year for us. The leads have been slow. It's hot. Fortunately, we're at the end of June. We're finally getting some leads. But 2 weeks ago, our backlog was 1 week. We'll probably negotiate a little bit to get some stuff on the schedule, to keep pumping out jobs, to keep our guys moving. And I know this isn't the belief of everybody, but I would much rather make, 8% than on 10,000 than 0% on 11,000. That's just me. I'm not looking to do that on a daily basis, but if that's what it takes to keep everyone whole and everyone fed from time to time, then yeah, we do that. Not some tough guy that no, I never negotiate, but I don't like to. We try to offer, especially in this climate that we're in right now with where things are at, we're kind of offering our, what do they call it in real estate, last and final or best and final. You know, that's kind of where we bid. You know, we're kind of bidding our best and final offer kind of right on the upfront, you know, side of things. That way we want to close it right now. We're trying to sell, you know, so we're not making a ton of money on net profit this year, but that's okay. We're staying whole. We're hoping to still hit our revenue numbers that we want to hit, to where we still make a nice piece at the end of the year.
Yeah, that makes sense. Related question, not from the list, but question that I had is, you mentioned the other day that you were experimenting with a new style of quote template in ProLine. You were
Yeah.
changing out the layout of your quotes. I was curious if you wanted to talk about that. And
Yeah, dude, I'm so excited about it. We've
you
already
didn't
sold
give me
like
any
3 jobs.
context. You told me what it was, but no context as to the strategy.
So we sold like, we released it, I think, this week to our sales guys. We've already sold 3 or 4 jobs on that template, which is really good. So what we're doing is, and anybody watching this, I'm sure, has seen the video or seen my quote templates at some point through the mix of videos out there. The Rain Stoppers Basics Plus and Platinum. Great template. I think it's fantastic. We've had a ton of success with it, but there's one barrier with it, and it's simplicity. It's very complex. It's a lot of pages. I think a minimum, that template minimum's like 12 pages or something like that. So when you print this thing out and you hand it to the customer, or if they're scanning down through their email, it's a significant amount of paperwork. So we live in an area, and I don't think it's just we live in an area. I think that across the board, there's a lot of people that's just not into the fluff. They're literally just looking for a price on a roof, right? So we built this other template, and for customers that we know going into the gig, we're 90% price shopping. You know, they need one price. They're not really interested in these, you know, higher end warranties and these you know, different systems. So what we did was we created a template, and it's called the Rain Stoppers Essentials, or Rain Stoppers Roof System. I can't remember what it's called. We'll just call it Rain Stoppers Roof System, right? So it gives the details of what we do, which now we've upped our ante a little bit. We're offering 5-year warranty, turnkey, labor and material through Rain Stoppers. That's not through GAF. That's not through anybody. That's through us. So your entry level roof that we're going to sell you is a GAF HDZ shingle, and these materials are listed out, not itemized, but we just say GAF HDZs, ice guard on the valleys and eaves, synthetic felt, ridge vent, new pipe boots, whatever. It just spells it out. And it also says the 5-year turnkey warranty. And then there's a price, one single price. There's no fluff or anything. It's really simple. But because we want to use this template, we do still want people to have the option to upgrade to a better system. At the very end, there's a button that you can click in the upgrade column that just says GAF Golden Pledge 25-year labor warranty with a singular price. You know, so if you got a $10,000 Rain Stoppers roof, this upgrades $700 for the 25-year warranty instead of 5-year warranty. All you do is click that button. Now you just added it to your bill. So it just simplifies that process. Instead of giving them 3 roof packages to choose from, it gives them 1 roof package with an optional upgrade for warranty. We'll see.
Yeah, I really like that. I really like that a lot.
It cleaned it up a lot. We've already had, like I said, we've already had quite a few people sign on those contracts. It feels right. It feels like it's the right move.
Yeah. Yeah. But you're not sending that to everyone, or you are sending that to everyone now?
We still use the other one some, and who knows, if we're kind of watching it, see what the success looks like. Maybe we phase the other one completely out. That very well may be.
Yeah.
But for right now, the one with the 3 optional roof packages, because we're trying to promote this, really high end warranty system and these better products that we can sell. If we know somebody's obviously interested in those things, maybe money's not as much of a concern. Maybe they've made it very clear that they're calling us, like maybe they're a GAF lead, right? Maybe they came through GAF because we were Master Elite. They want the warranty. Well, we want to put it right in their face that, hey, we want you to get that warranty. Here's a whole page all about it, right? So right now we're still playing around with that, but we very well may phase it out and just go with a little more of the simplistic version.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. That's really interesting. We've gotten pretty, I keep thinking that we've put a lot of effort into building ProLine quotes out to be very robust for a lot of different scenarios, including like multi-structures or multiple structures and then also the multiple options. And every new ProLine account has those quote templates loaded out for multi-structure and multi-option. But I've thought more and more about, I've considered building out quote templates like you're talking about, where people just have, all right, here's the simplest version. You want a simple quote? Here's a simple quote. You can play around with our like robust quotes if you want to use that. But if you're just looking for like a single option quote, here you go. Here you can pull a single option quote in, super simple, and then that's what you can use. So it's something that we might look at building out, is having quote templates that are like that, a separate set of quote templates where it's like, single option versus multi-option, multi-structure, and having 2 different versions of our standard quote templates, just to give people an option. Because it seems like for a lot of people that it's like in a lot of markets, especially right now, it works better.
Yeah, and I know for a fact, because I was that guy, that you have to get to a certain level in your business, especially if you're coming from the field. There's an amount of time you got to spend doing this stuff before you learn how to run a business, learn how to quote properly, understand the numbers involved. I don't know how long I just knew that the market was charging around 275 a square. Well, since I was literally the guy nailing the shingles on and I had a couple of helpers, I just charged 275 square on everything for a long time. Sure, some days I made, $600, some days I made $1,200. Some days are better than others. You know what I mean? So that's not a business. I'm not saying that's the right thing. I'm just saying, without some real coaching and some real training and taking a step back and understanding what those numbers are, it's hard to quote a job, by gross profit, by job costing it, doing all these things. It's really hard to quote a job when you don't even know what those numbers are. So, the other way can work for a period of time. It's just not efficient.
Makes sense. For everyone in the audience, please do feel free, if you have any questions, put those into the Q&A at the bottom of Zoom. Or if anyone has any other thoughts on roof washing, that's the question of the day, roof washing, and whether or not Scott should add it as a service. Raise your hand and we'll tag you in. All right. This question is coming from a solo roofer. It's just a one-man company. And so his question is, should I specialize in a specific type of roofing material, or should I offer multiple types, including asphalt, tile, slate? So should someone really, I think this could apply to any size company. What's the advantages of specializing in just a certain type of roofing versus like offering a range of different material types?
I think you have to look at your target customer to answer that. So, I just actually did a podcast today for Small Town Roofer with a guy down in Houston, and he is a very niche roofing contractor. He likes selling composites, Spanish barrel tile, very high end roofing systems. Um, that's not what we do, but that's also not necessarily our customer. We're not working on very many multi-million-dollar homes or things like that. We really don't have much of it here to offer. But you got to look at who you're wanting to work for. Are you wanting to work for who I work for? And we call this fellow Joe Lunchbox. So if you want to work for Joe Lunchbox, you need to learn how to put on shingles and screw down metal, maybe a little bit of staining seam. If you want to work for the executives, the really high end individuals, and that's all you want to work for, then you're going to need to learn these high end roof systems and become the best at it. There's a guy in my neighborhood that's a mentor of mine, and he has a true tile. It's like flat tiles. They're really interesting looking, but it's all tile and copper. There's nobody around here that does it. This company came out of North Carolina to do it. So my point to that is, if you're really freaking good at it, like, you can cover a bunch of ground and put these, really specialized roof systems on, because there's just not a huge demand for it in one particular area. You're gonna have to travel some to do it. But I also believe that roof was $680,000, and that was 7 years ago. So it's $1.5 million roof today. You're never going to get that putting shingles on in the residential roofing business, So there's definitely pros and cons. I mean, and you get one job, and that job's your job for that crew for 3 months. Where I need 3 months, I need 180 roof jobs. So it's just different. So depending on who you want to work for would answer that question.
Yeah, that makes sense. Especially that pros and or the kind of the give and take, the pros and cons. Like, are you okay with traveling? Are you okay with covering a very wide service area? Because that's might be what it takes if you're going to specialize in one of those types.
I think so. I mean, unless maybe if you're in Houston, this fella, he's doing well in Houston, but you're talking one of the biggest cities in the country with a lot of really wealthy communities. Lot different than West Virginia over here. So there's nobody around here that's doing that. But even like Virginia area, I don't think there's tons of that going on there. That's why this company out in North Carolina came clear up here to do it.
Gotcha. What do you think it's a risk if, for say, this company that you're talking about that was in Houston, if they were like, you know what, we also want to have an asphalt option, and when they want to start doing asphalt on the side, do you think that could be like harm their brand? Do you think that's a distraction? Like, what can you juggle multiple?
I think you could set up divisions. I think you could do, and it wouldn't be advertised. Obviously, that's not something you would advertise, but I think inside of your company and inside of the culture of your company, you're going to have sales reps that, they sell, 50,000 and less. And you're going to have sales reps that sell 50,000 or more, dollar wise per job. Or maybe these sales reps are specialists at shingle and metal roofing, and these guys are specialists at tile and what I mean? Like, I think you could do that, but it's got to be inside the company. I don't think that hurts the brand. I mean, I don't know a roofing company that doesn't put on shingles. Like, you will put on shingles if that's what you're asked to do, and you can charge enough to do it because it's so freaking easy. Like, if you can do, it's the entry level roof system. Like, anybody that understands how a roof works, you have to know that. You have to know how to put on shingles.
Yep. That makes sense. All right. Last call from the audience for questions. Last call from the audience. I'm gonna look for one more quick question here. If we don't get anything. Do you think there's a way to use virtual reality or augmented reality in roofing sales?
You're so far out of my, I don't even know what it is.
We ran a big, very expensive push at Fiesel with that. And it started right before I was with them. And great idea, super good concept. Got a bunch of people interested. We do like a virtual, we basically take a picture of each face of the house. It would create a 3D rendering where it actually populate different color shingles and siding on the house. And you could, I can't remember what it was, Robin, I think is what it was called. Super cool. Obviously, I'm a tech guy, so I'm excited and super into it. We basically mail or drop off like a little VR viewing receptacle, and you slide your phone into it, kind of like this. This was before AR, VR really was kind of big. This was kind of the start of it. Ended up just being expensive and didn't really work as well as we were hoping it would. But it got us a lot of visibility. A lot of people were interested in it and did the inspection just because of that. But I think in terms of, well, revenue, it didn't return itself from the initial investment. But where we are today with AR, or yeah, I guess AR and VR, like I think there's some use case to it. I think it's a lot cheaper. It's a lot easier, and it's in a lot more households now than it was 5-6 years ago. I don't think the technology is there enough that the common person has it, that I think it's applicable enough to use. But I think it is a really cool technology, and I can for sure see it going to that space at some point.
Scott, you're not a big VR guy?
Dude,
You don't like VR headsets?
I've never even put them on. No, I'm not. I like living in the reality, not virtual reality.
Virtual reality. I like VR. I don't have it personally. My dad's super into it. It's his like retirement hobby is VR. But yeah, no, that makes sense, Jonah. It seems a little gimmicky. And gimmicks are cool, and gimmicks work if they're super cheap. If you can do it and not spend a lot of money on it, and it gets attention. And so yeah, maybe there is more. It might be easier. There might be apps on the phone now that allow you to generate, VR super easily. And then I want to say the new iPhones like have built-in VR. Like you can film for the Apple Vision or something on the new iPhones. I feel like I read that somewhere. Maybe not.
I think that just released, or
Yeah.
it'll release soon. I think the phones already have it, but I don't know if it's like released from software yet.
Yeah, they like take the streams from the two cameras and combine them so that it's three-dimensional.
Yeah, that's pretty sick.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I mean,
It's
I'll
gonna sell
definitely play
so
with
many roofs, Scott. It's gonna sell so many.
Look, I'm working on a 8-year-old HP laptop. I got $5 gas station sunglasses on. None of this matters to me. I could care less. I was at Cabela's the other day, and I've got smart glasses, and I'm like, what the hell do you need smart glasses?
What's wrong with regular glasses?
Right. Like I like my $5 glasses. They're like perfectly fine. They do exactly the same thing. They've got music playing in them and all kind, like it's wild. I mean, I'm like, my mind can't take all this shit going on. I don't need music and things showing up on my screen while I'm walking, and no, just leave me alone. I'm good.
Yeah. I feel that. Keep it simple.
Yeah.
Keep it simple.
Yeah.
All right. Let's wrap up there, and good episode, guys, and we will see everybody next week.